How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about something very, very special. We're going to be talking about Flash Gordon from 1980. This is a movie based on the pre-existing comic book character that had appeared in various serials and older films. This is the 1980s reboot, directed by Mike Hodges. This stars Sam J. Jones and Melody Anderson. You also got a few other people like Max von Sydow and Timothy Dalton in here, so a pretty big, pretty cool cast. And of course, one thing you also have to mention right off the bat is this features music by Queen, the legendary rock group. This is a really cool movie, one of the best theme songs there. The Flash Gordon theme song will get stuck in your head for days after watching this. But this is an earlier example of a spectacle film. Nowadays with CGI, there's a ton of spectacle films that happen all the time. Here we're firmly in the practical effects world, and this film wants to show you big and marvelous things, and it's one of those films I'm like, well, where do I even start? It's got big, loud colors, massive sets, crazy, trippy imagery, and a long, epic plot. Sure, not all of the elements hold up today, but a lot of them do, and this is just very big and stimulating. You know, you talk about cinematic minimalism with, like, say, Halloween. This is the exact opposite of this. This is how much can we fit into a movie. It's epic spectacle film. And I guess, let's go ahead and talk a bit about the plot first and foremost. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few plot points, as well as making sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what this movie's about. So let's go ahead and dive right in. We find out that there's a mysterious force from deep in space, an army led by this guy named Ming, and he's destroying the world essentially just for kicks. He's causing the moon to fall into the Earth, and soon that will destroy the entire world. One of the few scientists that actually knows what's happening is this guy who had radical theories that caused him to get kicked out of NASA. And that professor has built a rocket, but the last guy, he needs at least one other person to pilot this rocket, and his friend doesn't want to go. And there's kind of this funny moment where he pulls out a gun, he says, "Come on, you're going in the ship with me." And he's like, "No, no," and he just runs off. So humanity's only hope, he needs at least one other person, and he's kind of stuck out there while bits of the moon are falling to Earth. Well, jump to our main character, Flash Gordon. Flash Gordon is a quarterback with the New York Jets, I believe. So he's a famous football player. You actually get kind of a funny bit where he's wearing a shirt with his own name on it. I guess he's a celebrity that wears his own merch, right? But he gets on this plane, and the other person on a plane is a travel agent, you know, someone who, you know, books hotels and flights and stuff. And those two are on the plane, and they instantly have a good bit of chemistry, and you could tell the two really do like each other. But because of the pieces falling off the moon, the plane quickly crashes, and the two get out. They're the only survivors. There's a small charter plane, so there's not too many people on it. They get out, and by pure coincidence, they have crashed right into the lab of the scientist that needed a crew for his spaceship. So the scientist tricks him to go on, and he holds them at gunpoint and shoots them up into space. Now, they go into space and through a portal. I'm guessing the villain needed a portal in order to control the Earth. So they go and they crash land on Ming's planet, and you're opened up to a whole giant world there. They meet the Emperor, all his people. The Emperor's got a daughter who is sort of your stereotypical femme fatale, but this time as a space princess. Then you get the people who live in the trees, and then you get the Hawkmen, and they're being subjugated by the Emperor, but don't really have the means to rebel, and you see political tensions between the Emperor's people and the tree people and the Hawk people, and you can see that they're right on the brink of maybe a big revolution if something can spark it. Now, Flash has to stop the Emperor from destroying the Earth, but he, of course, gets captured, and then there's a whole string of different characters he comes in contact with, and they might help him, they might have their own, agendas, and it's, can we trust this guy? How do we escape from this? And a whole big, epic plot. And let's go ahead and talk a bit about the elements of this movie now. First and foremost, atmosphere and scale. This is a very, very big movie. This is where you get some characters who are a special effect, like the Hawk people. And the movie will go ahead and throw a bunch of them flying through the air all at once. It's not like a lot of other old-timey movies where it's like, ooh, let's do this effect once because it's expensive, They show that. They show, where the Hawk people live, where the tree people live. You get an idea of all their customs. You get the Emperor's palace and all the different, little rooms and people in there. You even get this whole race of lizard people that is being subjugated by the Emperor that has nothing to do with anything. They're just in the movie, and it's this whole race of creatures that, aren't really integral to the plot, but they're still there, and it's a giant, expansive set there, and the set is all these bright colors. They took the, over-the-top images from the comics and from the 50s stuff. It's very retro-futuristic, and very big and over-the-top, and very brightly colored with lots of reds. You look at later Thor Ragnarok, where they used excessive, expressive color, very obviously inspired from this film. The color in here is really amazing and energetic, sometimes a little bit too much, and there are a few times you're like, oh, my eyes, there's so much color. But it is very, very energetic. And then you get all the little people, like I said, there's multiple different kingdoms in here, and, the costuming and just design of all these characters. You get the bird people, they have to have their big wings. You get the tree people, which are almost like Robin Hood, but then you get all the Emperor's people. You get the secondary bad guy that has this, like, chrome face mask thing, almost looks like a skull. And then, especially amongst the female characters, some crazy retro sci-fi costuming there that is very, very striking. It is a lot to take in with this movie. And maybe that is sort of the thing is, there is a lot going on, and sometimes you can almost get lost in that. This was inspired by a lot of the serials, Flash Gordon, 1950s serials. You would do lots of little stuff on your way to a bigger mission, and there are certain parts of this that do almost feel episodic, little parts where Flash will be like, okay, they're executing him now. Oh, he's drowning in quicksand now. Oh, he's playing football against the enemies for some reason. Or, okay, Flash is on a futuristic jet ski flying through space. There's so many little moments, and the plot does meander a little bit, but it wants to do so much, and that's kind of the point, is throwing everything at the wall with this movie. And sure, there are some scenes that don't matter, or plot points that don't matter as much, and it does get kind of rambly, but that is kind of the point, to make it kind of like an episodic adventure. And there is a lot going on plot-wise. I also really do like the characters, in particular Flash. Flash, he's a quarterback. He's not, a big brainy stereotypical, sci-fi protagonist. He's a jock, and he's not the smartest thing ever, but he's not stupid. But he has a real, good and honest way about doing things, where he's like, I can't do that, or I have to do that. And, very, very straightforward. And he's gonna face everything that comes at him head on, and he's, first in line to the fist fight. But he's not stupid either, and they really walk a fine line between, him running in at things but not being a complete idiot. He's, he's a jock, he's gonna punch his problems, but, he's gonna do it in an effective way, and you really get behind him, his, youth and, enthusiasm for it. You really do want him to succeed, and Flash is a really fun character. You also get, what's her name, Dale, the travel agent, that, kind of instantly falls in love with him. And there's something about, just that idea, you're gonna meet someone and instantly fall in love with them. Again, such an old-timey idea, just a quick romance, and, then you get the evil femme fatale of the daughter, the evil emperor that, definitely has, we've seen elements like this before and since with, the big guy in charge of everything, a power that you can't really challenge, and all his other various little minions. The second in command with the gold mask is cool. He's got a lady under him that's this really evil lady, and there's so many cool little characters with crazy unique designs. There's a lot to like, and that's sort of the thing, it's kind of hard to contract this down to a 10-minute review just because it's so big. But one other thing worth mentioning is, I mentioned earlier, retrofuturism. This movie came at 1980, which is really a great time. 80s had 50s nostalgia, and this movie took all the retrofuturism, the ideas of what the future might look like from the 50s, and they used modern special effects, which a lot of which do, to an extent, hold up. And you take the 50s attitude with the modern effects and a modern big budget, but you also get, this is 1980, so you had all the 70s beforehand. 70s, the crazy psychedelic nature, and you'd be going into the 80s, the decade of excess, So you're taking the 50s, mixing it with the 70s and the 80s, and in turn you get this retro-futurist, psychedelic, over-the-top, crazy, crazy movie. And it is a real fun, almost episodic traveling film. And the problem, I feel like, with a lot of these other, fantasy and sci-fi films where it's a long, almost episodic journey and they wander from place to place, those often get boring, but that is definitely not the case for this. And I know there are a few parts that, don't quite work anymore or are like way too cheesy, and there are a few moments like that. But that being said, this is big and amazing, and you have to see it once just to see it, because this is the most crazy, over-the-top 80s movie you could ever really think of. And I don't know if I'm even doing a good job describing it just because there's so much going on. But an epic space adventure on a crazy scale that, just now in the age of CGI where we can do anything, we're finally just now starting to get back onto this scale again. But this movie is over the top and crazy and big and loud, and it's worth seeing at least once. Very colorful, very trippy, and I definitely recommend checking it out. Just know there are some cheesy moments and some stuff doesn't hold up, but this is the 80s and it's a good time capsule of what that era is like. So I feel that if there are any flaws, you really look back and go, it was the 80s, right? Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You're really helping the channel out. I'll put a relevant playlist on the bottom. If you want to see more, you can click there and see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.